one. Bim. There it is. Good morning. Good morning. Good mornings. Knicks fans worldwide. Welcome to Old School Knicks. I'm your man, Uncle Freezie. I'm joined by the creator of the joint, Anthony D. Sir, how you doing?
Brrr, bam!
Bim.
We back in the building
In
with
the
my main man,
building. In the
Uncle
building.
Freezie, in
In the
the
building.
easy. We,
Yeah, man.
we do it. We doing good, Freezie. I mean, it's a hot summer everywhere you go. A lot
Very.
going on in the world. We're
Right.
still very much in the pandemic. Since the last time we seen each other, we still very much in the pandemic. So
Yeah,
people,
man.
please, take care of yourself. This stuff ain't going anywhere. Plus, with all that
Right.
other new stuff that's out, you know what I mean. So, I
Right.
just wanted to say that real quick. But how
Right.
you been, Uncle Freezy? What's been
Bit
up, sir?
busy. Trying to I'm trying to do this and trying to get my personal stuff off the ground, man. I'm trying to work. Well, I have to say it professionally, but on a personal note too, man. I'm frustrated with the limitations placed on me as an individual worker for somebody else. So I'm trying to get some personal stuff off the ground, in the private sector, and some business stuff. So I'm doing that, trying to work on that. I'm trying to work on some more Knicks content. Bro, are we dinosaurs, man?
What, we as in me and you, or
Yes. Nah, I ain't talking about them. I'm talking about me and you. Are we dinosaurs in this Knicks realm? Like, are we the only ones that
yes,
think like, what are we doing here?
yes,
Are we the only ones that like, why are we afraid to trade for a star?
yes.
Why are we afraid to give up? Why are we bro, why are we afraid to give up Quentin Grimes?
I, I've talked. It's funny that we're old school, but we pick up in current. But I've talked that Donovan Mitchell and the possibilities to death. I've taught. I didn't even realize that I've been on a few panels and a few couple. I had some time over the last couple of weeks, and I've listened to just about everything else. I've talked that to death. I don't know. I just don't know why fans, feel the way they feel. I don't want to call them trolls. I don't want to, knock anyone's knowledge of the game and what they would do from what we would do. But some of this is just it's comical when you really
Right,
think about it. Really comical.
right. They scared, bro.
Yeah,
They us
yeah,
and so the thing about this new era is they're afraid of trades when back in the day, bro. I come from an era where we traded for Earl to Pearl, bro. I come from an era where we legit acquired Bob McAdoo. I come from an era where we legit traded my favorite player for some dude named Bernard King, who only played 208 games with us, but he a Knicks legend, right?
hmm
And this era of Knicks fans, they don't want to trade anything for anything.
at all, at
I
all.
I swear I don't get it.
They remind me of neighbors that would come and borrow something from you, but when you had to borrow something from them, they ain't had it.
Dang, yeah.
Nah, I know. They be standing right in front of you, right in front of you with it. You ever see that? Yo, let me
Yeah.
bum a cigarette. Let me bum a cigarette. They open a fresh pack in front
Yeah.
of you, like, nah, I ain't got it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man.
Mm-mm.
I just
The
don't get it.
mindset is off. I mean, they had to trade for Dave DeBusschere to win a championship.
Right.
They had
Right.
to trade for Pearl to win a second one.
Right.
This nonsense about what you give up. And I tried to make this point with them the other day. I'm like, some of the other people. I don't remember what show I was on, but do you know what the chances are that any of these picks that we would give up could be Donovan Mitchell?
Man, stop, bro.
You'd have to go contact somebody in NASA.
Yeah.
To give you the mathematical equation that any one of these guys is going to come in, first 5 years, 20 plus points, take team to the playoffs, gets better, point average and everything every year. Plus, he averages 28.3 points per game in the playoffs.
In the playoffs. In the playoffs. What are we doing? I just don't get it.
I don't know. They just scared to, and when you get into conversation, the first name that pops up, you like a wet food stamp, Melo.
Yep.
First name that pops up. It's like, you got everything, and your so-called facts are just so wrong.
Right.
We gave up so much for Melo. What?
Nah, we didn't give up nothing for Melo, bro.
Oh my God.
We didn't give up nothing for Melo.
Stop it.
Matter of fact, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing what we gave up for Melo, man.
Yeah. We're mad because we didn't do nothing with it after we did it.
Right. Right. Man, come on, bro. I'm so embarrassed about the people keep bringing up the Melo thing, man. Come on, bro.
That's why you mad. You mad because you didn't do anything with it. Like a dude standing up in another dude's wedding, toasting and telling 2,000 people, I'm going with him in his city, and we're going to form our own big three.
Right.
And at the time, he was 25 years old.
Right. Just about to hit his prime.
Just about to hit his prime. Melo's 27 years old.
Yeah.
He's 25, 26. You got that, but instead of you finding a way, because remember, and a lot of people forget this, the Knicks were even back channeling through Pearl because Pearl knew his family.
Right.
Pearl knew he knew CP3's father.
Right. Right.
He's
like,
from
come on, bro. Let's do this. Like, come on, bro. Let's do this. What are we waiting on?
You know what I'm saying? Because I heard Pearl talk about his family.
Right. Bro. I'm at a point now where the reason why I brought up the trade thing is so that we can get into this thing of like how do Knicks fans think we got Dave DeBusschere? Right? How do Knicks fans think we got Dick Barnett? How do they feel like we got how do they realize we got Earl the Pearl? Bro, we had to trade, we had to acquire these guys.
How did you get Charles Oakley?
Trading Bill Cartwright.
How did you eventually get Marcus Camby? Trading Charles Oakley.
Right.
How do you get better?
Right.
You're not drafting you gotta get lucky you don't think Utah was lucky? Or when they saw that Donovan Mitchell fell to them, they were like, quick, in 2 minutes, Donovan Mitchell. They put the card in quick. Donovan Mitchell. Yep.
And then they got okay. And so how it played out, right, is that was Denver's pick, right? And Denver, and the rumors Denver's talking about going someplace, and you tell like, hurry up, man, these dudes idiots. Let's pull off this deal with Denver and get the rights to this pick so we can get Donovan Mitchell, because the NBA crazy. The NBA is crazy right now. Donovan Mitchell sliding this down like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I'm not saying he's Donovan Mitchell, but he started to slide. Once he slid out of the top 7, now you're like, okay, now something stupid is going on. Right? Now something stupid is going on. The Clippers were like, Jerry West was like, hurry up quick. Let me get SGA, man. Cause y'all now y'all crazy. Y'all done lost your mind. Right? And so the Knicks make trades, and I think what happens is the Knicks look at certain trades and use that as the fodder, right? Use that as the fodder for the no, let's not do a trade thing, right? Like the Pat Ewing trade. People say the Knicks got robbed in the Pat Ewing trade, but did they really? Glenn Rice at the time was a scoring machine.
No, I think they got robbed.
I knew you was gonna say that, bro. Come on, man.
Because I'd have never.
For Pat Ewing
At that time, Uncle Freezie, Ewing's contract, I think, was like in the top 5. He was on the last year of like 18.9 or something like that. It was somewhere around there. And he was, look how fast the dominoes fall. He was unhappy because the year before they went to the Eastern Conference Finals again, and they lost to the Pacers. And the team was like, yo, we did better the year before when you was out because we was able to run.
We can't be in them. Right.
And he got into his old man feelings.
Right.
And saw the writing on the wall because Sprewell was chirping, Camby was chirping, or allegedly these guys were chirping. Let me say that. You know, and he got into his feelings and he's like, yo, I want out. And they as an organization, Checkets and them at the time, they still revered him enough to be like, all right, you want out, we're not going to try and hold you. But you took on ham sandwiches. You took on Shannon Anderson.
Glenn Rice is a ham sandwich. Oh,
Glenn Rice at that time, Glenn Rice, I think we went to the playoffs that one year with him, and then he had plantar fasciitis in his foot, and he was no good. He was no good until he got to the Lakers.
Yeah.
He was no good. It's like, and all of that, we were, as I said, in 2000, we in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Right.
And by 2001, the team is, because you hastily move Ewing and get these people, Luke Longley, who I don't think ever played a game.
No, he never played a game with the Knicks. And the rumor behind the scenes was Luke Longley wasn't going to come even if he was healthy. Luke Longley was not coming. Luke Longley was going to go to Australia, but since he was hurt, that was the excuse that he could use. Luke Longley knew he was done in the NBA. He knew it. Did you watch? There's a Luke Longley documentary on Netflix, and where he talks about why he was left out of the Last Dance documentary, and being traded to the Knicks and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so Luke Longley, as big as and intimidating as he looked, was a big softy, and he admitted that. He was like, "Yeah, man, Mike and them were getting on me about letting people come to the rim and lay it up." He said, I had to be the villain, and I had to embrace it, but that wasn't my character." And I was like, "Really, Luke Longley?"
Absolutely. There's a clip with Jordan talking about Luke Longley on YouTube. I watched it the other day, and he said some team they were playing against, and he was like, "Look, you got to dominate today. Like, they don't have no real center in there, whatever. We going to you early. This is your day. You got to dominate." He said at the end of the first quarter, Luke had 12 points, 4 rebounds, 2 block shots. And he's like, "Luke, yeah, baby.
Yeah.
This is you all day."
All day, yeah.
He said that at the end of the game, Luke had 12 points, 4 rebounds, 2 block shots.
Yep.
Luke went 3 straight quarters
with nothing. With nothing, man.
He said, "Yo, Luke, you know what? It's my fault. I should have never amped you up from the beginning of the game. You got it confused. So
yeah, man.
That's the kind of, if you got that kind of play on your team, you're going to be consistently frustrated.
Yep.
As a superstar, you're going to be consistently frustrated because you're looking at this dude like, how much money we gave him?
Right.
Where did you find this guy?
Right.
Australia? I thought they only had Kangaroo Jack
Right.
out in the
Right.
outback. I didn't know they played basketball down there. Who the hell is this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Who's
And
this?
then he didn't come from a power school. He played at New Mexico.
Right. Played at New Mexico. Like, dude, you could have went down to the Rucker League and then got you 3 for 10.
Yeah.
So who is this?
Yeah.
So that's that Ewing trade. That's what that did. So you go from being back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals and a Finals appearance, and within a year and a half, you're decimated.
Yep. Yep.
You're
Pretty
decimated.
much. Pretty much. And with the word decimation being the perfect word, because now you're having to transition to today's NBA, because now because we were basically trying to dodge the current game because we had an all-time great in Pat Ewing, right?
Yeah.
But ever since '99, ever since Sprewell and Camby were here, we were like, yo, Larry Johnson being a small ball 4, right? We were like, yeah, we gotta kind of get today's players, and we wouldn't, because we had an all-time great towards the end of his career. Kind of like the reason why the Lakers' reign in the 80s stopped abruptly, right? Because when you got Kareem, when you got Cap, when you got a classic 5 pivot, a pivot player, you know what I'm saying, that is an all-time great at what he does, you kind of want to get all the juice out of that lemon that you could possibly get before you discard it, right? But you noticed as soon as they got rid of, or as soon as Cap retired, they brought in Vladi, the Euro big that could do stuff on the perimeter. He was pretty good in the pick and roll defense. His only thing is the Lakers wanted him to be the classic big, and he was a Euro big.
Right.
He was a modern big. He wasn't going there chopping people head off at the basket. He wasn't going to do that.
No.
Right? He wasn't trying to cut people's knees out, elbow people in the throat when they wasn't looking. He wasn't bumping cutters.
No.
You know what I'm saying? He was a great passer. You know what I'm saying? His defense was about flopping. Remember, I used to call him, they used to call him Vladi Dottie. I used to call him Floppy Dottie. He used to flop all the time. That was his thing.
He would frustrate you.
Yeah, he wasn't gonna block his shot, but he would flop though.
Yeah, because if somebody, you need your legs.
Yeah.
More than probably, your legs are just as important as your arms. And someone consistently falling at your feet, taking you out. He's not taking you out, but he's making you readjust.
Making you nervous, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to jump over him, slide to the side, something, and he was getting away with it for a long time.
For a long time.
Getting away with it for a long time with that kind of craftiness, but you're not gonna. I'd have sat him down. I'd have told him, Pat, wait out this last year, and you could go be a free agent again, and you can go see what's better out there in the market, because we can't oblige this trade.
But that had been going an ongoing thing for years with Pat, and I don't blame Pat. I don't begrudge Pat for not wanting to be here no more, man, because Knicks fans, they turn on you on a dime, bro. Yeah, it's like when you're performing at a high level, there's no greater feeling than being the star in New York. But anything less than that, fans will turn on you.
this is true. You're 100% correct, Freezy. But here's the thing: you're only going to be young once.
Right.
You're only gonna have the advantage over the organization when you're a superstar once.
Right.
The moment you are no longer the superstar anymore, you no longer have that kind of advantage. You see what I'm saying? You no longer they really they if they can throw Babe Ruth out the game,
Right.
if they can go make him a third base coach.
Right.
We ain't got no job for you like that. You know what? You can go coach third base. Why?
The Yankees traded Babe Ruth to the Milwaukee Braves.
Yeah.
I think
Why?
they were the
Because
Milwaukee Braves. They was some kind of Braves. I can't remember. Boston Braves. I can't remember.
at the end of the day, ownership remembered when they had to put up with all his nonsense.
Yep.
Although they were reaping in the benefits.
Yep.
They were getting all the cash. And it's when you 25 years old, Freezy, you know, you 25, you're on top of the world, you top of the game like that. The conversation is go park my car.
Yep.
That's about as far as the conversation is going beyond past that. Who are you?
Right.
Go park my car.
Right.
And people remember that.
Yep. 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 Pat demanded to be traded multiple times, man. Pat demanded to be traded and I think it was 88 or something.
Yep.
Like some weird situation. It's like the Knicks wanted to shoot the three. Pat Ewing didn't want them to shoot the three. The Knicks shot the three at a high clip anyway, and it frustrated Pat because he felt like he was the man. Now, I know a lot of y'all not going to remember when the years when the Knicks led the NBA in 3-point attempts, right? No, I don't think anybody remember that. Maybe except me because I just love the Knicks, right?
And they were only shooting like 7 a game.
7 a game. Right.
Yo, think about that, Freezy. They only shooting 7 per game.
You remember Matt Gukas?
Yes.
I remember Matt Gukas was like, "Oh my goodness, that's the second 3-pointer this quarter."
Yes.
Matt Gukas on the NBC broadcast is like, "That's the second 3-pointer this quarter." Oh my goodness.
Cats is
shooting, 3-point shooting team.
Cats is shooting like what 50 and a quarter now.
Right.
Between the two teams, at least 50.
Right. But that era, Pat Ewing wasn't buying the 3-point shot.
Who was?
Right. And I get it because what people don't realize is a big is under the rim. Right. And your big man always has the farthest distance to travel, because while guards run from perimeter to perimeter, big men run from low post area to low post area every play. Right. So your big man has to be in shape. So if you shoot the 3 and miss, that means Pat got to sprint from his rim all the way back to guard the other rim, right? That's a lot of running for a big, especially if he ain't touching it. And Pat loved touches, bro. Pat loved touching that basketball, man.
How you not? How you not? In theory, Freezy, you having all right, let's use Joel Embiid, right?
Okay.
You look at Joel Embiid's numbers over these last several years or whatever, probably better than anything Pat has done. Right? Just share with the way how the game is played. Share.
Right.
But look at him and his availability and how he's done with his team in the playoffs.
Right.
With that style of play.
Right.
I remember a game.
Is it all Embiid's fault? No, but I get your point.
But here it is though. You're not focused. Like what you do well, you wanna have the appearance that you do everything well. I can shoot the three, I can shoot the mid range. You know, I could do the Euro step. I could do this. I could do that, and you're still a big. You're not a guard.
Right. Right. His numbers are comparable to Moses Malone, bro.
Yeah. But look at where Moses is effective. Moses is giving you body blows.
Yeah.
Moses is down in the paint giving you absolute body blows. Them shots that's crippling you. Bang, bang. Why? Because he's getting his rebounds and he's getting your rebounds.
Yep. Yep. Is he the best second, third jumper that you ever seen?
Yeah, because he was totally focused on position,
right.
position, and position.
Yeah. And hustle. That dude would hustle.
If you got your man sealed down there like that and he's on your back, who's got a better positioning for the rebound?
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean.
And when he was off balance, which also helped to pad his stats, he would throw it up off the backboard and re-catch himself. He would do it at least 4 or 5 times a game.
Yes. Ate off that. Lived off that. Right.
Okay. Watch out gonna try and block my shot. I'm just gonna throw it off on the side of the backboard right here and re-catch it.
Right. And go back up.
Go back up.
Right.
Finish. Moses wasn't looking to shoot no three.
Moses was not a pretty basketball player to watch.
Oh no. There's nothing pretty about that game. There's nothing pretty. He looked like he was out of shape.
Yeah.
He looked like he was out of shape, but he wasn't.
He always looked like he was hurt. He was always like the hobble. You know, the guy that had the hobble when they walk. You know what I'm saying? Always looked like he hurting, his back hurting, his knee hurting, his hip hurting. You know what I'm saying? But when you threw that ball in the air,
he was going to dominate you.
Yep.
With straight hustle. The same thing. He reminded me in latter years. Zach Randolph reminded me of Moses.
Right.
And I was one of those dudes when the Knicks had that general manager, Walsh.
Oh.
When they were on this grand delusion that they were going to get LeBron.
Yeah.
And Zach had regained his steam. And they had gotten rid of Eddie Curry. You had Zach. And I'm like, yo, dude, you're trying to get LeBron and whoever, but you got a very good Zach Randolph who's about to, by the time Zach got to Memphis, Zach was on a Hall of Fame track.
Yep.
His next 7 to 8 years in Memphis is Hall of Fame numbers. And you had Zach right there, and you instead of doing that, you end up getting Amari.
Right. And you could have kept Zach Randolph and David Lee. Where you needed to upgrade was at point guard and small forward. Desperately needed to upgrade at point guard and small forward. Right. Because Jamal Crawford was there too, right?
Yeah. They let Crawford go. Crawford, I understand the Crawford. You want the salary slot, whatever, but the Zach, I'm like, dude, like you got a Hall of Fame power forward right here that was matched incorrectly with a bumbling, stumbling Eddie Curry.
Right.
You did nothing but devalue your own product right there because you didn't know how good a power forward that you have right here on your team.
Zach Randolph, right?
Zach Randolph.
But Zach Randolph is a man of the city, bro.
Zach Randolph.
Zach Randolph was kind of like a Anthony Mason, so to speak, that just show up somewhere in somebody's hood and hang out.
Yes.
And but still be a professional at the same time. Still be Anthony. I mean, not Anthony Randolph. I'm sorry, I'm mixing names, but Zach Randolph was that dude. Is still a professional. Still worked in his craft. You see what kind of shape he got in New York, right? That was a knock on him. Before New York.
Well, that was the knock on him when he was in Portland, and Portland had their troubles out there with a few dudes, and Isaiah was able to pluck him and get him here. But again, you get him here, and you got him matched up with Eddie Curry. It's like parking a Volkswagen next to a Benz.
Right.
A leaky one at that.
A leaky one.
That's how good that when he went on, when they did him a favor.
Right.
Because although Memphis never did get it, Zach for like a 2-year period out in the West, Zach was the best power forward in the game.
Right.
And you had him on your team at what? Another one at 25.
Yep. And I don't remember him being 20 and 10, but I think what was he, like 18 and 11, 18 and 12 or something like that?
I think even you mean for his career?
No, with the Knicks.
With the Knicks, I think that by the time they traded him, if memory serves me correctly, I think he was up around 23, 24.
Really?
Yeah, because he was in that D'Antoni system. And that D'Antoni system gave everybody, because even Crawford's numbers were up. When they traded them both at their Knicks peak. Because of the D'Antoni offense.
Yeah, man. Yo, Zach Randolph played 6 years with Portland, bro. And he played 2 seasons. So I'm looking at Zach Randolph played 80 games with the Knicks. 80 games.
Yeah.
That's crazy, right?
Sounds about right. Yep.
That's crazy, man. We got him from the Clippers. That's the part that I remember. He played 50 games. Let me see here. According to Basketball Reference, Zach Randolph played 80 games with the Knicks, started 79 of them, and he averaged 18 points a game and 10 points. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, okay. Whatever his numbers were, the dude was a really, really good. Oh, the season that you talking about was when he went to Portland. His first season in Portland, he averaged 23.6 and 10 rebounds. Bro, that's amazing. Right? And he shot 29% from 3, which, if you remember that Zach Randolph frame, he did not look like a 3-point shooter, bro.
No. He could drill it. He could drill it every now and again, but he wasn't a 3-point. He's a deep 2. He could deep 2 back to your basket. Zach did not look like anything great physically, but he could give you buckets.
Yeah, and so I'm sorry. The year before, when we got him from Portland, he was 23 and 10. He came to the Knicks and averaged 17 and 6 when we got him, and then he was averaging 20.8 and 10 rebounds. And then we traded him to the Clippers. I can't even remember what we got for him.
because I know by the time he left here, his numbers were going up. In the beginning, the numbers weren't good because they couldn't figure it out with him and Eddie Curry.
Right. No, you're right. You're right. I think you're right. Right.
They couldn't figure it out with that that waste of effort. Oh my God, Lord have mercy. One of Isaiah Thomas's great brain trust, like we signed Jerome James this week, and 2 weeks later, we're trading for Eddie Curry.
instead of mind you, Knicks fans, instead of keeping our first round pick and drafting either LaMarcus Aldridge, who was drafted by the Bulls and then traded away to Portland, or Joakim Noah. So we could have had, in theory, a big man tandem of Joakim Noah at center and LaMarcus Aldridge at the 4.
Yes.
And I legit want to throw up in my coffee right now because of what the alternatives were.
I'm like, dude, you have to. Here's the thing. I think when they made the trade, or when they made the trade for Curry, I said, well, okay, but why didn't you look into Chandler? Because I was always a Chandler fan, into Tyson Chandler, because they were both on the same team.
Right.
I can't remember who I was talking to, and they was like, nah, Chandler's not available. They were just in the playoffs with them. Blah 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 blah. Next thing you know, 2 weeks later, they trade Tyson Chandler.
Right, they trade him. Yep. Because a dude named Marcus Fizer started balling.
Yes.
You remember Marcus Fizer?
Yes.
Marcus Fizer started balling at the 4 for them.
Absolutely.
And next thing you know, Tyson Chandler is in New Orleans, which is probably the best thing that could have ever happened to him.
They made some peculiar moves for like 3 years. They drafted Elton Brand. Elton Brand is the rookie of the year, averaging like 18, 19 points a game or whatever. All of a sudden, a year later, they fall out of love with Elton Brand. They trade Brand to get Curry and Chandler. Right. 2 years later, they fall out of love with them. Within like 2 years, they fall out of love with them and jetson both of them.
Yep.
My point is, you're in conversation with them. You come away with Curry instead of coming away with Chandler.
Right.
What sense did that make?
Because the Knicks were in love with with the old school big man. That's what that had been our Achilles heel ever since the end of Pat's career. Because ideally, what you should have done, right? Hey, salute to Hector from Yankees Morning Brew. What's good, Hector? Ideally, what you should have done is diversified your center position. But the Knicks ran with Pat Ewing and Herb Williams, right? And when they wanted to get younger at the 5, they played Kurt Thomas there. So instead of your big man being 37, they ran with the young guy who was 34.
You can't make that up.
Right.
How was that a winning formula? How do you not see that as? I remember the first time I went to Vegas. Right, it was in July, right around Summer League. Yeah. And I was I was like, yo, bump that. At least one of these days, I'm gonna go over to what's that, the Mac Center or whatever. I'm gonna go and watch my boys, whatever. The rumor was that Eddie Curry was gonna come and work out, right? He was supposed to be working out for the team. He had been away from the team for however long.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be in shape, blah, 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 blah. It happened to be like 102 degrees at the time. Like in the afternoon, I was like, I don't think it's safe right now to leave the hotel right now to go watch them. Right? So watching them on TV. No Eddie Curry. Come a little later in the afternoon, report was he showed up and he didn't have his sneakers. He couldn't work out. The owner is there. Mind you, this is the beginning of their CAA days. Right. Because Eddie Curry was a CAA client. Right? If memory serves me correctly, if I'm incorrect, chat, let me know. But I do remember him being a CAA client. And he shows up to show you that, look what I've been doing, boss. And he don't got no sneakers. As if someone in the gym has size 17 triple E's just laying around there somewhere.
Laying around. And what bothers me is these dudes getting millions of dollars to have entourage. You couldn't have sent somebody back for some shoes.
How was that not like top priority?
How was that?
Not top priority. And this is whoever sold me on signing this dude, why am I ever doing business with you again?
Surprise. One day he's going to become the team president of your organization. Surprise. Like look at the history. Look at the history of this. Eddie Curry showing up to a gym without no shoes. Right? Talking the Knicks out of acquiring Greg Monroe from the Detroit Pistons. Forcing the Knicks to trade for Andrea Bargnani. Right?
Oh, God.
Yeah, and not only for Bargnani, but the Knicks gave up draft picks.
Oh my God.
For Bargnani. How are you 7 foot tall and they call you Little Italy?
Oh my God.
Now I understand at the time. I think Bogut went number 1 the year before or the year after, something like that. I can't remember. But Bogut, for his unflashiness, was as solid as a championship big as you're going to get in today's NBA.
Destroyed Amari one Thursday night. I remember that game today. Still remember that game.
Bogut did everything you wanted a modern NBA big to do. He rebounded. He blocked shots. He didn't beg for the basketball. He set hard screens. He
tough in the league.
Smart defender. All of the and when I say smart defender, I'm not saying he was Olajuwon like on defense or David Robinson like, but he was tough. That he would do all the stuff that he would bump your cutters. You have cutters coming through, he bumping all of them. You mad? Coach keep calling this play, and this dude keeps shoving me every time I run through there. Right? The dude legit was as solid as you can get for a championship center. But we don't get Bogut. We get the 7-1 guy that can go off the dribble and shoot threes. We always had a fascination with that. A big, tall Euro guy that can shoot threes and go off the dribble. We had a fascination with that.
It don't matter that he can't crack an egg. Don't matter that if he fell off of a building and the egg was right there, he would bounce off the egg.
Yeah, with a running start.
Those are the kind of guys that over the years that the Knicks have had a fascination with.
Right.
Remember when they had, you were asking me earlier about the in order, the general managers in order.
Right.
And I totally forgot. Remember for like 2 months, Ed Tapscott was the general manager. When is the last time you heard that name?
Bro, I can't. Yo, I ain't even gonna lie to you. Some of these names,
Ed Tapscott drafted Frederick Weiss. I can't remember what happened, but it was some power shakeup dynamic. Something. I think it might have. I can't know if is it after if is it after what's the name son?
Layden?
That check was it after Layden? I think it was after Layden.
Yep.
And this is in the draft where Artest was coming out.
Yep.
Right, and somehow they're left without representation, and he just happened to be, bam, interim general manager Ed Tapscott.
Yep.
So he ain't got nobody to answer to.
Yep.
And Ed Tapscott drafts Frederick Weiss.
Sight unseen. Sight unseen.
Sight unseen.
And the guy that we wanted, and it was like a weird scenario. The guy that we wanted to work, and we wanted to draft him in that spot. He went to St. John's. He was from Queensbridge, right? The Knicks canceled a workout with another guy so that Ron Artest can come work out. And Ron Artest got drunk and was hungover and missed the workout time. Didn't call the Knicks or nothing. He just didn't show up.
Right.
Didn't call them. Didn't lie to him like, I got a flat tire. I'm running late. Blah, blah, blah. None of that. He just didn't show up.
Right.
And now you're like, well, Artest, he's unprofessional. What do you know what I'm saying? And Mike Jarvis, the coach at St. John's at the time, is like trying to tell everybody, nah, man, all the stuff he's saying, he's really a good kid. He's just misunderstood. But then Ron Artest attacks Mike Jarvis at practice. You remember that? Ron Artest attacked Mike Jarvis. And what people don't know is the story is Mike Jarvis whooped his ass. Like, old school ball head Mike Jarvis with the beard. Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man, tough. He from New York. You know what I'm saying? Artest getting in there, wilding out, throwing it, and then he tried to attack. What's the name? They boot him away. Mike Jarvis, a sweet, you know what I'm saying, got a good heart dude. Like, yeah, I whooped his ass, but if I put him out here on these streets, man, he gonna destroy his. You know how.
Well, Artest was just a lot of people. It's because he could play ball, what really saved him from getting out of trouble, and whoever the schools and the programs were connected to, because he did some things. He threw a kid off of the top of the seating, like the top of the seats, like and way up in the top area, whatever. He threw some kid off of there.
Right.
He threw some kid. He should have went to jail.
He
had a lot of issues. If he couldn't play ball, he'd have been in jail.
He'd have been in jail, bro. Yeah.
A lot of, at that time, undiagnosed anger issues.
Stuff, yeah.
And especially with, authority.
Yeah.
So if you look like somebody that's trying to be in his way and he's not trying to listen to you at that particular time, whatever, and he young and he tall and he cock strong. Yeah. More times than not, you're gonna have a bad day.
Right. And then 4 or 5 years earlier, you were dealing with the same thing with Anthony Mason.
Yeah. Same thing. That's why Mason but Mason's game, he still needed to refine his game, but that's why he had to end up, God rest the dead, traveling the way that he did. Playing in the Turkey League, the Euro League, the China League, the this league, the that league.
Getting cut by the Trailblazers 4 times.
Yeah.
Getting cut by the Trailblazers 4 times, bro.
Oakley said in one of his interviews that he said no one could handle Mace but him.
Right.
He said Mace gave the whole organization fits all the time.
All the time. And even a young Rod Strickland. People are like, the Knicks should never have traded Rod Strickland. Yeah, they had to, bro.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Did you watch the documentary, the New York City Point Guards?
No, I ain't see it yet. When did that come
Okay.
out? Is that recent?
It came out this past week on Showtime. So once
God
you
dog it, I missed it. No, I didn't see it. I gotta watch that.
review it, and then we'll chop it up. We'll chop it up next week.
Okay. Okay.
Next week about the point guards, but they talk to all of the who you would think the players, and they featured Rod as well. A lot of people don't know, for as much respect and acclaim as Rod has gotten over the years, and Rod is like your favorite point guard. Rod never made an All-Star team.
No, he didn't.
Think about that. All them point guards during that time, when they would tell you, or who they feared the most, or whatever, Rod was like at the top three of that, because you couldn't stop him.
No, you couldn't stop him.
You literally couldn't stop him. And look at his yearly averages. He never made an All-Star.
Yep. Kind of like Mike Conley in today's group. In the Chris Paul era, Mike Conley never made the All-Star team. Even though he was right there with a lot of them.
Yes.
The model of consistency. He was a very, very, very good point guard, not great.
Yes.
I think Rod Strickland in some instances to San Antonio with Larry Brown, I think he was great.
They had a good, when the Knicks made that trade, and Knicks got a lot of flack for making that trade, Maurice Cheeks for Rod Strickland. But it's it's like today with Julius and Obi. You had Mark and Rod.
Right.
You can't play both of them.
No, you can't. No.
You just can't. Neither one of them is a shooting guard, so you can't play them together. You remember that argument? Why don't you play them together? Like, no, neither one of them is a shooting guard. Neither one of them shoot.
Right. And then plus two, to your point, the thing that when people look at Mark Jackson and Rod Strickland, you also had other guards with potential also that go forgotten by history. Like you also had Gerald Wilkins. Right? You're gonna take Gerald Wilkins off the floor to give Rod Strickland more minutes?
Well, if that was my option, I would have done that.
Nah.
If you're telling me at that time, and it was no, I had a Gerald Wilkins poster, but if you're telling me at that time to make Rod happy, that if we were gonna bench Gerald Wilkins and put Rod there, all right, I'd have been fine with that.
Nah, I can't do it. Gerald Wilkins did a lot of stuff. Now he was an inconsistent jump shooter, but what else is new? You know what I'm saying? But if you're talking about just a defensive guy that can defend the new up and coming athletes at the shooting guard position, like the Clyde Drexlers, the Michael Jordans, they were everywhere. The new prototype shooting guard, where it was like basically what it was is the old ABA shooting guard type player, David Thompson, the David Thompson prototype, the Elgin Baylor type guard now is in the NBA, and you had to have guys that could defend them, right? And I know that sounds, blasphemous. Like, nah, man, just put Rod Strickland on the floor. Nah, man, you had to. Nah, I don't know, bro.
Here's the thing. Here's why I do it. Ewing needed, throughout his entire Knick career, he needed another person that could take the load off in certain points of the game. That could get a bucket. That could just flat out get a bucket. Gerald Wilkins was not a flat out get a bucket kind of player.
No, he wasn't.
Gerald would have, like, I remember this like yesterday. I think it was the Detroit series. It might have been the Detroit series game 1 or game 2, he has 34 points, and I don't think he cracks 10 the rest of the series. That was the kind of offensive player that he was.
Right.
But when he scored that 34, you'd have thought they uncovered King Tut's tomb.
Right.
Like, ooh, finally we got something with him. Plus, the better offensive player on that team that you could have slid in that role if they were thinking properly, Johnny Newman was a better offensive player,
right,
than Gerald Wilkins. Right. So you still would have had Newman there in that, if you wanted to put Rod in the shooting guard, Rod could get a bucket. If nothing else, Rod could get a bucket.
Rod could get a bucket, but we're talking about the evolution of the shooting guard. Yeah, okay. How about we do this? How about if you gotta get Ron Strickland minutes, right? How about sit Mark Jackson?
I knew you were gonna say that. I'm never gonna sit Mark. Mark is in the rarefied conversation of floor generals and ball distributors, great passes.
Right.
Is in all 3 of those categories.
Right.
Mark doesn't have to score 15 to 20 points. No. But Mark is going to get, in Mark's best, Mark is going to get, he could get you. Mark has a playoff game with the Knicks where I think he's got 2 playoff games with the Knicks where he's got 20 plus assists.
Right.
One of them in a losing cause in that game 6 against Chicago in Chicago Stadium. I think he had that's the Trent Tucker game. I think Mark had 20 assists in that game.
The 4-point play.
The 4-point play. I talk about it because I remember it like yesterday, dog. It was the biggest robbery. I knew they were gonna do it to us too.
Right.
Ain't nobody touch Michael Jordan, but I get it.
No, not the Jordan one. The Pippen one was egregious. The Pippen one, I want to throw my God.
Yeah.
The foul they called for Scottie Pippen.
Yeah.
And Pippen go to the line and hit those 2 free throws.
Yeah. I get it. They were going to
day, bro. That's 30 years ago, bro. That's 30 years.
Yep.
And I want to throw my computer through the window, bro.
It's still, yeah.
All Scotty could do was laugh. Scotty laughed. He was like, "Oh, y'all called that a foul?" Okay.
That's when I hear him talk about that Hubert Davis thing. I'm like, yo, dude, are you kidding me?
Oh my God.
Are you kidding me? Do you remember what happened a few seasons before? You're talking about this Hubert Davis thing. I'm talking about what happened in '88.
Yeah.
That's the least that was owed to us. That's the least. But you needed, like I said, that was always their problem with Ewing in those years. They couldn't consistently find that guy.
Wait a minute. So we might have the playoff series confused. You talking about in '88? I'm talking about the one in. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe I got the Pippen year wrong, but there was a year where I think it's the same. No, I think we talk about the same thing. You talking about the Trent Tucker 4-point play, right?
The Trent Tucker 4-point play. Right after that, they isolate with Jordan and call a phantom foul. Right. Send Jordan to the line. He hits the 2 and wins the game.
I remember that too.
Right.
That one right there, I expected that one. I expected that.
Well, in the moment, I didn't expect it because remember, Trent Tucker had just hit a 4-point play, and we're going bananas.
Right.
We're going bananas. I'm literally jumping. I'm walking all over my friend's mother, God rest her soul, her white couch.
Yep.
With my Timbs on. I'm walking on his mom's couch.
Yeah, you mad disrespectful, bro.
Mad disrespectful, yo.
You mad disrespectful.
Mad disrespectful.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely. God rest Miss Teresa's soul.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's how exciting. And then 10 seconds later, you're like, what? What
Yep.
happened?
Yep. Yep.
Jordan's going to the line.
Yep. Yep. I remember
Mhm.
that, bro. It's heartbreaking, bro. It was it. I guess to sum up what I'm getting at is I understand where you're coming from, right? And the Knicks have been very patient over the years. The misnomer in all of this stuff is I think Knicks fans say that the Knicks don't try to develop young players. I think that's a lie. I think that's a false narrative. Because if you remember the Trent Tucker, Rory Sparrow, Darryl Walker, they drafted Kurt Rambis and cut him. But the Knicks had been trying to develop young cores for years.
Ray
You know what I'm saying?
Williams.
Yeah, Ray Williams, and then a year goes by. I can't remember who they drafted in '84, but in '85 they add Pat Ewing, Gerald Wilkins, and then in '86 they add who do we add in '86? I forget.
Kenny Walker.
Yeah.
And Sky Walker.
Yeah. So we we get Johnny Newman from, I think you mentioned that in a prior episode, that we get Johnny Newman in some kind of weird thing from Cleveland.
Off waivers.
Yeah. And then we get Mark Jackson, Rod Strickland. So the Knicks have been adding young players for years and trying to develop them for years and years. You know what I'm saying? And at some point, the Knicks, they get frustrated. They're like, yo, we keep trying these first round picks. The only one that really worked out for us is Pat, right? So why keep them? Why not just trade them picks for stars? And I think that goes back to the conversation. Why are Knicks fans afraid to trade for stars? But they don't remember what it was like to draft Bill Cartwright and then draft Michael Ray Richardson. You know what I'm saying? And draft Mike Woodson. You know what I'm saying? And they don't, probably because a lot of Knicks fans wasn't there. They were not old enough. You know what I'm saying? But I remember Willis Reed being over the hill, about to retire, and them drafting Bill Cartwright. I thought it was the beginning of a new era. It's kind of like giving you the sensation of when Pat Ewing was old and broken down and the Knicks traded for Camby. And you were like, man, why is Pat starting, bro? We need to start Camby, man. It's a new era. That's kind of how I felt like with Bob McAdoo and Willis Reed and all that. That's a new era, man. Just start Bill Cartwright, man. That man can shoot. Bill Cartwright gonna be the new Bill Russell.
Because
I was wrong.
Well, yeah, I could have told you that, but
not in real time though. But you didn't know that in real time though.
Here's the thing. In real time, we did know it. We had Bernard King to kind of make everything look better.
Yeah.
Because once you removed them off the team, and you saw these same players the following year, they're in the lottery.
Yeah.
They're in the lottery the next two. They're in the lottery 80, 85, 86. Mark Jackson wasn't a lottery pick. He was later, but 80, right. They're in the lottery the first 3 years or 2 years of the inception.
Right.
And the year before the lottery, they was like right at the, in the playoffs because they had King.
Right.
Take him off the team. Guys like Rory Sparrow, your favorite, Darryl Walker.
Frank Ntilikina, bro.
Yeah, he was back then Frank Ntilikina.
Bro.
We kept trying to. I personally, as a Knicks fan, I kept trying to love Darryl Walker as a player.
Yep.
Darryl Walker was not a good offensive player. I don't know where they saw this.
Great leader, good defender.
Defensive specialist.
Yep.
You don't draft defensive specialist number 4 or when did
Over
they
Clyde Drexler.
Yeah, they drafted him. No, they drafted him number 14 over Clyde Drexler, something like that. Right.
Yeah.
You don't draft guy at the end of the day. I'll say this and I'll say this over and give me the best offensive player over the best defensive player any day of the week.
Right.
Any day of the week. Because as good as he is defensively, like as good as what's the name was, with Golden State against LeBron that year. What's my man's name from Philly that they got from Philly? AI. God, his name is skipping me. But they gave him MVP and LeBron still averaged like 35, 10, and 9 or some craziness like that.
Harden.
No, not Harden. Oh my God, he played on Golden State, but he had those. That was LeBron's numbers, but yet still, what's the name won the MVP?
You talking about Steph?
No, he's their sixth man. Came from Philly.
You're in the finals, Iguodala. Yeah.
Right? They gave Iguodala the MVP because of his so-called how great he played defensively. But look at LeBron's numbers.
Yeah.
Give me the best offensive player over the best defensive player any day of the week.
Any day
of the week. Because all it means is that you made me work hard for my shot, but I still got it.
Right. Bro, this is so crazy, man. I'm looking at the Knicks draft history. 86, we drafted Kenny Skywalker. 87, bro, we drafted. Oh my God, Mark Jackson. I remember that. 88
is 6'8", 200 pounds, not an ounce of fat on him.
Right.
And couldn't move nobody out the lane.
Nobody.
They drafted him with the intentions that he was going to be the power forward to King to go up against McHale.
Right.
And I remember this dude. I know you. I think you should remember this dude that used to be on Channel 11, the sportscaster. His name was Jerry Gerard.
I remember Jerry Gerard.
Jerry Gerard is the original smooth, sarcastic dude. And he was like, they drafted this guy to go up against McHale. Ooh.
I remember that, man. I remember that. Yeah. Bro.
Yo, the dude, he gave him the shutter. He gave him the cold shutter. Like, are you serious? Are you serious? Like, this guy's gonna stop who? One of the greatest power forwards to ever play this game. Can't get it.
It's so frustrating, bro.
Saw that man cry on the court.
Yep. Multiple times, bro.
On the court. That's how bad they booed him.
Yep.
When Cats was defending Knox, I'm like, yo, you think Knox got it bad? I'm like, Kenny Walker had it bad. Like, Kenny Walker had it bad.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Like, they drafted him with the intentions that he was going to be the answer to Kevin McHale.
Yep. The counter. So they got him thinking that this dude could probably. You remember Cornbread Maxwell?
Yeah, of course.
You remember how dirty that motherfucker? Oh, God! I hate talking to you, bro. I hate talking because we rehash all these memories that I had buried deep inside that I thought I'd never talk about again. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm thinking about Cornbread Maxwell, just like so. I saw this played. So for those that don't know, like Knicks history and such, right? I saw this dude named Cornbread Maxwell just elbow Sly Williams and turn his back and walk away Sly Williams get up and shove him in his back. The referee look at Sly Williams and kick him out the game. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And y'all like, so what? But that's what it was like when the other team has more talent. When the other team has more talent, and then they could get away with stuff like that. They kick one of your best players out the game, and he not even as good as Cornbread Maxwell or ML Carr for that matter.
They didn't care. They didn't care about you. The league at that time cared about two teams.
Yeah,
they cared about the Celtics and they cared about the Lakers.
The Lakers. Yep, that's it.
That's it. Like the rest of y'all, if y'all manage to get in one of these years or whatever, like, you know, we ain't gonna weight the odds against you, but we really only care about those two teams right there.
Right. Do you remember how good Seattle was during that era?
Seattle was good. Didn't Seattle win it in '79? I think. Oh, was it '80?
But they lost. But not in '79. But they lost to the Bullets in '78.
Yeah.
Remember they lost to the Bullets in '78, and they had been good for a long time. Right.
They were good. The league just didn't have. You know, I had my issues with the late David Stern as commissioner, but he was necessary. They needed someone that could market the game and get the game, you know, off and running again. Because the league, they had great players, but nobody cared.
Nobody cared, bro.
Nobody cared. Like the finals is on tape delay.
Yep.
Finals is on tape delay. Nobody cared. They needed somebody to help them get to where they needed to be to get fan interest. And luckily, when they saw these two young stars coming into the league, you know, they had somebody smart enough who didn't fumble the play.
Right. Bro, I promise you, I'm looking at the Knicks draft history right now, and it makes me sick to my stomach, bro.
You've never had a guard, and this again to the Donovan Mitchell situation. You've never had a guard like Donovan Mitchell.
Never, bro.
In your history, Clyde was not Donovan Mitchell.
Right.
Earl was not Donovan Mitchell.
Right.
Allen Houston is not Donovan Mitchell.
Nope. Sprewell.
If he was 4 inches taller, you wouldn't be able to. They wouldn't be trading him if he was 4 inches taller.
Right. I'm looking at the Knicks history on the guys that they drafted in the top 10, bro. Just think about the guys. I'm gonna name a couple guys that were drafted in the top 10, and you tell me what you think.
Don't make me barf.
No, I ain't gonna say the obvious ones. Because the obvious ones, you know what I'm saying. But all right. So here we go. Channing Frye was drafted 9.
Burger.
Mike Sweetney was drafted 9.
Oh my God, double burger.
And Nene Hilario was drafted 7, but then traded for McDice.
Double bacon burger. Oh my God.
Right. Kenny Walker was drafted 5th.
Hold on a second? Do you remember what Sweetney looked like in his uniform as a professional athlete?
Yeah, he looked like one of us. You know, he looked like me. He looked like me. If I was to throw on a uniform right now, I would look like a fat, old, out of shape man. With fat arms. You know what I'm saying? And,
this man was 21 years old.
But this man was 21.
Oh my God.
And so the Mike Sweetney thing wasn't as bad because every draft you're gonna swing and miss in every draft, right? But to do John Thomas, John Thomas, Mike Sweetney back to back. Now you telling me you looking for fat dudes? Now, because if you do it one time, you're like, okay, maybe we get him in camp and get him in shape, and blah blah blah, boom boom boom, whatever. But bro, you telling me you looking for these type of dudes, bro?
Dude,
right? You looking for Jordan Hills?
Yes. Yes.
Come on, man.
They were looking for Jordan Hills.
Yeah,
They were looking.
you remember
If he
Donnell
wasn't
Harvey?
looking for
Remember Donnell Harvey?
yes. Oh my gosh, my Lord. Ronaldo Balkman.
Yeah, bro. And I saw Balkman play at South Carolina when Isaiah Thomas was like, yo, in the right situation, we could probably turn this dude into Dennis Rodman. And when he said it at the time, I was like, this dude's absolutely right. But you know what you can't do? You can't account for somebody's heart when they get money. See, when Dennis Rodman played, it was never about money. Right? Dennis Rodman, don't get it twisted. Dennis Rodman made a lot of money, but you see, Dennis Rodman is a weirdo, right? And there ain't nothing wrong with being a weirdo. You a weirdo, be a weirdo. I don't care. But Dennis Rodman, in his heart, wanted to be the very best at something. Like you remember early on in Detroit, he wanted to be the best defensive player in the league, right? And then towards the end of his career, he wanted to be the NBA rebounding champ. He wanted that more desperately. He used to pad his rebounding stats. Remember, he used to tip the ball at the rim because he didn't care about his shooting percentage. He'd just tip it up, get the rebound, tip it up, get the rebound, tip it up. And he'll finish the game with 19 rebounds.
But
right,
here's the thing with that, though, Uncle Freezie. You know, it's cool for him to say when he saw Balkman, he reminded him of young Rodman, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Players like that, the Rodmans, the Draymond Greens, those type of niche type of players, you don't start your franchise with them.
Right.
Those players only look good when they got Steph and Isaiah Thomas, and they got those guys. They just need those guys to fill in the pieces.
Right.
They just need those guys to be like the cement, around the foundation. You're not gonna draft them. You're not gonna go for them first.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? You get a Balkman, you draft him that high, you make him think he needs to be more. His skills, like he needs to do more. He needs to be more. He needs to, next thing you know, you get guys start trying to be JaVale McGee. You remember JaVale McGee, his first like 10 years and so forth before he's kind of like found his niche now and Shaq stopped bothering him. JaVale McGee, talented dude, extremely athletic. He would do 2 to 3 dumb things every night. Every night.
He would turn his back to Kobe on an inbound, and Kobe would throw the ball off his back and get a layup.
Yeah.
He like
long before Shaq and a fool.
Yes.
He was doing this nonsense.
Right.
And he would be having a good game sometimes.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he tried to go coast to coast. End up throwing the ball in the 15th row.
Kicking it in the crowd.
Some craziness like that.
Right.
You don't those guys are not the kind of guys you draft and then you go, well, we're drafting you for until we get that other piece. No.
No.
That's backwards.
Ass backwards. Yes, sir. But let me tell you what Isaiah did wrong, right? I'm gonna tell you what Isaiah did wrong in that situation. You needed a point guard, right? He took Ronaldo Balkman. Guess who was the pick directly after Ronaldo Balkman? Just take the wildest guess imaginable.
I want to say, who was that? Monty Ellis?
Rajon Rondo.
Rajon Rondo.
You pass on Rajon Rondo to take Ronaldo Balkman. And listen, and if you didn't like Ronaldo Balkman, right? Guess who went 4 picks later? Kyle Lowry.
You can't make that stuff up. You can't make that stuff up.
How?
You can't exactly. You can't draft a niche player that high. He was just a hard-working, running up and down player.
that you can find on the street.
That you can find on the street. That's it. You don't invest that kind of top tier draft positioning for that.
Right. And if you felt like, and here's my thing, if you felt like that Rajon Rondo wasn't ready, right? Why then take Marty Collins and try to move him to point guard? Right? Because you could have legit, in theory, you could have used them 2 assets to get Rondo and Kyle Lowry. In theory, if you're a forward-thinking GM, you're like, we losing anyway. Why not just bring both of them in, let them develop? Let them develop. Let it be open competition.
Yes.
Yeah, at point, why not? You're not going to win anyway. Think about it. You had 2 first-round picks, and you know why? Because you earned them.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So why even you passed on Rajon Rondo and Kyle Lowry for Ronaldo Bachman and Marty Collins. And Marty Collins, I ain't gonna lie to you, Marty Collins is an intriguing player. In today's NBA, I think he stays in the game a long time in that Alec Burks role. Right? Why not? A dude, a small forward, a wing player with excellent handles that can kind of orchestrate your offense a little bit, but not be the main guy. Right? Marty Collins was a Swiss Army knife. Isaiah saw a tall point guard. That's a fail. That's a fail.
Yes.
Right? Just because you know who else went in this draft is going to make you laugh, because a lot of them became Knicks. James Flight White went in that draft.
Oh my God.
He became a Knick. Steve Novak was in that draft, right? PJ Tucker was in that draft. I mean, Boobie Gibson. You remember Daniel Boobie Gibson?
Yep.
Was in that draft. Paul Millsap was in that draft, drafted 47. Right? Ryan Hollins was in that draft. Right? Who else? That's about it. But listen, man, you passed on Steve Novak, James White, Flight White, PJ Tucker. You passed on so many. You passed on Boobie Gibson. You passed on Paul Millsap. You passed on Ryan Hollins. You passed on Kyle Lowry. You passed on Rajon Rondo for a dude named Ronaldo Bachman.
You sound surprised.
I sound maybe hurt. Maybe hurt is emotionally. I'm scarred, and and over the course of years, I found a way to heal. But having this conversation, now I'm hurt again. I don't care. And bro, you passed on Rajon Rondo and Kyle Lowry to draft Ronaldo Bachman, a 6'8" energy guy that you can get up.
That you did not.
In theory, he's Farron Hunt.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a Farron Hunt in every summer league around the league. Everybody got a Farron Hunt or two.
And I'm not saying that you don't need a Farron Hunt. All I'm saying is they're easier to find than a franchise point guard.
I would rather swing and miss. It's the same philosophy with a quarterback. Yep. All right. The late great Bill Walsh said, all you needed is 20 games to know if you got a good quarterback, not even great, a good quarterback that could win games.
Right.
You don't need that many games to know if you got a good point guard and what position is really valuable on the team. If you don't got like a star player someplace else, you still need someone to quarterback the offense.
Right. Right.
You know,
Bro.
and especially if that person is someone that can also get his buckets.
Right. Right. Bro, the reason why, and for those that are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Consider joining the family by going to the YouTube homepage, Blorange Tears YouTube homepage. Clicking on the join button and becoming a member, joining the family. We also have a link to our Patreon where we have in-depth videos about the conversations we're currently having, like are the Knicks in purgatory? What does Jalen Brunson bring to the table? Those are your in-depth Patreon breakdown. So consider becoming a patron. I think it's like $2 a month for a basic membership and like $5 or something. And I'm more consider. I wanted the prices to be low because I just wanted to focus on the content. And so the pricing thing, it's kind of like, but I do know I'm just trying to put content out there for Knicks fans. But this conversation here makes me think, man, to make it easier to skip all these missteps, just trade and get a star. Just trade and go get, so you won't have to deal with Kenny Walker throwing up in his shirt in practice,
getting spasms on the layup line.
right? Anxiety attacks. The dude legit had anxiety attacks in the layup line before games, and he couldn't help it, right?
He couldn't help it. These Knicks fans don't understand the value of a star.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? A star covers up mistakes. Stars win games that you were not supposed to win during the regular season.
Yep.
You know those nights where you're not even thinking about the finals yet. It's Luka versus this one. And you're like, okay, I'm gonna watch that. Knicks ain't playing tonight. I'm gonna watch that. I'm gonna tune in.
Yep.
And you might see something special.
Right. Right.
And more than likely,
those games you're not supposed to win, like the Knicks versus Celtics in the playoff series, and Pat Ewing plays. Pat Ewing hits a corner three against the Celtics. And listen, and it's not just that three, because the Knicks were going to win that game. It's not just that three; it's that Pat Ewing was a bullied kid from Massachusetts, the Boston area, right? Right, a bullied kid from that Boston area, right? That's playing for the Knicks with a huge Jamaican population, right? He played for them against them, and it's like all these things coming together. Pat Ewing get a ball rolled out to him, and he had the 3-point line. He like, well, I'm gonna shoot my shot. Back when centers wasn't shooting threes,
I'm a bury them.
Right.
I'm gonna bury them, and he buries them, and that's what a star does. That's what a star does. Like, you get a guy like that, in the playoffs, you have possibilities,
right?
Because that's what a star brings you. That's what a star carries. It carries all of that. Carries your franchise through those. You know what I'm saying? Through those games, like I mentioned, and first round, second round. Once you get to the second round, all of a sudden you got thoughts like everybody else.
Right.
Why not us?
Why not us?
Didn't Trae Young drag Atlanta to the conference finals?
And drag them.
Drag
them there.
What?
Right.
A game or two away from being in the finals?
Yeah.
You can't tell me Atlanta started the season thinking that they was gonna end up where they ended up. Hell no. They was not planning for that. Hell no, they wasn't planning for that.
No. Hey, let me ask you this. This is a question I've been wanting to ask you for a couple of months. And every time you and I have been on a panel or live stream together, I allude to it, but I can't get to it because too much traffic. Now it's just you and I. Right? From 85 to 2000, Is that a Knicks defensive basketball era, or is that a generational talent and Pat Ewing era? It couldn't be both, just like it can't be both. Is it the primetime era of Knicks defense, grittiness, or is it the Pat Ewing generational talent era?
It's the Pat Ewing defense.
I knew he was gonna say.
Yeah, it is because
I knew he was gonna go
it
do it.
is him because with him, once Checkets came on, well, let me not say that. When Bianchi came on, because Bianchi didn't draft him, when Bianchi came on, and him and Patino or whatever, they started to kind of build the team in his image and the things that he did well. Because most people, won't remember that Ewing was a thoroughbred.
Yep.
Like Ewing ain't Tim Duncan.
No.
Like Tim Duncan got 2 left feet,
Right.
and athletically couldn't hold a candle to Ewing.
Right.
Like Ewing could get up and go, and it was like, all right, we got to get somebody to get. That's how you end up drafting Jackson.
Right.
But again, another trivia for you, right? Another hidden gem. When the Knicks drafted Mark Jackson, technically, they did not have a general manager,
Right.
nor a head coach. Dick McGuire, just like Ed Tepscott 10 years later, Dick McGuire drafted Mark Jackson.
Former Nick Dick McGuire now. Former Nick player Dick McGuire.
Former Nick Dick McGuire drafted. They were in the at that time, the Knicks is owned by Paramount, Gulf and Western, something. And the head of their organization was Paul Evans. Right. He's interviewing them. Because remember, he hires Bianchi. I don't know who came first, Bianchi or Patino, but it wasn't like the general manager was hired and then he hired the coach.
Right.
They both got hired simultaneously.
Right.
So that's why they didn't like each other. And that's why it didn't last more than 2 years.
Right. You knew that one gone. You knew Mark Jackson. You knew Mark Jackson. I mean, not Mark Jackson, but Stu Jackson. Somebody was going to be on the way.
Right, because Bianchi didn't draft Mark Jackson. Like I said, when he got the job, Jackson was there. See what I'm saying? Jackson was already there, and Patino didn't necessarily like you see him on the There's a part of the documentary that I just mentioned where he says, "Well, we needed a point guard, so we had to get him." I'm like, that's revisionist history because really and truly, you didn't draft him. You were in contract negotiations to become coach.
Right.
You wasn't coach at the time.
Right. Bro.
This is how they've done business for a long time with just different players.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Those two guys can't get along, right? Bianchi and Patino can't get along. The Knicks go from winning 38 games to winning 52 games. The Atlantic Division champs, whatever. And then next thing you know, Kentucky comes knocking, and the general manager is like, "Okay, sure, you can go talk to them." Huh?
What? Exactly.
How does that work?
Because the Patino thing was supposed to be a courtesy. Like, man, listen, opportunities come, bro. There's no bigger job going than being the head coach of the New York Knicks. So why would he even consider going to Kentucky when they were on probation from the previous guy? Right? Remember that they're on probation. Kentucky's all this stuff. You got to rebuild the program, historic program down in the dumps. Rick Pitino would never take that job. Next thing you know, there's a press conference. Rick Pitino is the next head coach of Kentucky Wildcats.
Yeah, just like that. And when the media asked him to break it down and explain it, like what happened, and him Bianchi, he barely had anything to say.
I thought he was in shock, bro.
Well,
I always thought he was in shock.
it wasn't, it was his dream. We didn't want to hold him. I'm like, his dream? He's from New York.
Right. He said that when he left Providence.
He said that when he left Providence. His dream is to coach the Knicks.
The Knicks.
How can you have two different dreams?
Right. And the irony is Rick Pitino is at Providence. He has a point guard named Billy. Was it Billy Donovan?
Billy
Donovan, right? He brought Billy Donovan to New York. The Knicks had these 2 point guards on the bench, Billy Donovan and Scott Brooks. You remember Scott Brooks?
I think Billy Donovan played 4 games.
May have 4.
I think he played 4 games.
Maybe,
I think he's down in the record books for 4 games.
Yep. Yeah. Bro, it's crazy. It's crazy how these scenarios work out, man. It's the dude coaches what 4? I mean, plays in 4 games, and people are wondering what. Okay, just real quick before we get out of here, just real quick, I want to ask you this too. So if you've been drafting point guards for years, and the Knicks had been up to that point, they've been drafting point guard after point guard after point guard. Nobody works out. They finally get it right with Mark Jackson. You remember the relief we felt like we knew Mark Jackson was it. It felt like destiny when we got Mark Jackson, because Mark Jackson was the point guard in New York City playing at St. John's. St. John's was like at the time, St. John's ruled the city. St. John's basketball ruled the city because the Knicks were a rebuilding team, kind of a lot of young talent. They wasn't there yet. Right. They just wasn't there yet. Right. So all of a sudden, back to back, they have a roster with Mark Jackson, Rod Strickland, Scott Brooks, Billy Donovan, all these guys, and all of a sudden there's like a surplus of point guards, so much so that a great college player like Billy Donovan can't even get on the floor. And I noticed I said great college player. I'm not saying he was a great pro. I'm saying, reiterating, he's a great college player. Right? All of a sudden they can't eat. And then Mark Jackson, I think it was either 89, Mark Jackson comes into camp like what, 235 or something? 232 or something?
The year after he made All-Star, I think he became an All-Star in his second year.
Right.
But the year after he becomes an All-Star, and to his credit and discredit, to his credit, he owned up to it. He was like, he'd been playing basketball his whole life. He just got married. Because remember, he married the singer.
The singer, was it Shanice?
No, not Shanice. I can't remember her name, but he married to the singer, and he was like, well, he went on his vacation, his honeymoon, whatever. And he gets out of shape. But again, back to him being out of shape, the Knicks got Rod Strickland.
Yeah.
And he's not out of shape.
Yeah.
Then Mark also hurts the knee.
Yep.
I think he then has surgery. And it's funny because them first couple of years, he couldn't do any wrong.
Right.
And then by year three into year 4,
Mike Lupica is all, man, look.
Yeah, and the city had turned on him.
Yep. Yep.
Forget that. Like the city had turned on him. You know, they wanted Rod to play. Then they make the trade. Jackson is left, and immediately they turned the team over to Maurice Cheeks.
Yep.
In that game you're talking about with Ewing, that game 5, Jackson is coming off the bench.
Yep. Yep.
It's Cheeks who's the starting point guard and so forth.
Yep.
So
what year is that? That's
89. That's
89.
90.
Okay.
That's 89-90. And he said, and to his credit, he survives that because he's here. He plays 1 year under Riley.
Yep.
That first year, that 92 season.
Yep.
They make the trade for him. They've been searching for a point guard since they've made the trade for him.
Yep.
When they traded him. No disrespect to Derek Harper. No disrespect to Childs or Charlie Ward.
Or Doc Rivers. Don't forget Doc Rivers came here, got hurt immediately. Remember Doc Rivers came here, got hurt immediately.
That's why I didn't mention it, because he got hurt pretty much immediately.
Yeah,
well,
he got
hurt in that second season because he's on the 93 team.
Yeah, yeah. He's a starter.
He's on the Charles Smith team.
Yeah.
He's on that playoff team. You know, we give it to Charles and all of that, but you know, Doc melted down as well. He was one of those that melted down in that series as well.
Yeah.
You know, poor Charles. I thought about because I watched some old games the other day and I saw Charles. I thought about Charles and I'm like, Charles is like the most erased New York tri-state area memory. I don't know whose memory is more erased, him or Jeremy Lin.
Oh no, I gotta throw a name in there. Nah, let me throw this name in there. It's gonna make you laugh. I think the most erased Knick of all time is Kiki Vandeweghe. You remember Kiki Vandeweghe? Remember how many all-star teams Kiki Vandeweghe made before he got to the Knicks? Kiki Vandeweghe was a Wally Zerbiak type player. Man, that dude was a baller, bro.
Yeah, he was a baller, but the thing is, when Kiki got here, he was hurt.
And he stayed hurt.
So it wasn't like we was expecting, you know, we were hoping that he could be that piece with Ewing and whatever. But yeah, he is. But those two guys, they're almost infamous now. Because Charles been infamous for a long time.
You mean Charles Smith is part of cancel culture. They canceled him.
Yeah, they canceled him. Jeremy's like, you almost look at him because the Knicks don't even, like on MSG and stuff like that, they don't even show his games anymore. They haven't shown his games in a long time.
And he worked for the organization, which is odd.
And he worked for the organization, and at one point in time, and this is facts, his games were the highest rated games in Knicks history.
Right. Because those games were nip and tuck with the Bulls. Nip and tuck with the Bulls.
I'm talking about all those games. I'm talking about the Jeremy Lin game against Toronto. Yeah. All of those 7 games that he played that was so like took the world by storm were highest rated than any Knick game, than the Willis Reed walk-in game, all of that.
The Clyde Frazier game 7. That's the game you're talking about.
Jeremy Lin's games was more high rated than all of the 90s, all of that.
Right.
You can't catch a whiff of Jeremy Lin games on MSG.
Right.
And it's been that way for a long time. It's like he's never played here. When is the last time you seen when the Knicks have had old time people come back or whatever. Have you ever seen Jeremy Lin back at the Garden?
Yeah, that's odd, bro. That's odd. And the reason why it's odd is because Knicks fans chanted, and I wish I was there, bro. I think I would have had a meltdown in the Garden. You remember the game where the Pistons cut their lottery pick, Henry Ellenson, and the Knicks signed him to a 10-day contract.
Right.
And he wound up going for 8 points in a quarter against the Pistons, and they started calling it the Henry Ellenson revenge game and chanting MVP at the line. Bro, if I was in the Garden and 15,000 people were screaming for, bro, I swear to God, I'd have had a meltdown in there, bro. Security would have had to drag me out by my teeth, bro. You know, y'all are here chanting MVP for Henry Ellenson. Oh my God, bro! Security would have had to drag me out of there by my eyelashes, bro. I swear to God. I swear. How bad does your team have to be for a team like the Pistons to cut a guy and they're trash? We signed him to a 10-day contract and we chant MVP for him.
I mean,
it would be like the Washington Wizards cutting Kwame Brown, and then he come and put up 6 straight points in a game that means nothing, and we chant MVP.
Okay, let me ask you this. Now hold that moment right there. Is that moment worse than LeBron and his teammates playing spin the bottle on our home floor? Is that moment worse than that? Because I'm gonna tell you something. You know, that right there, if people started throwing stuff at him, and I don't advocate for stuff like that when fans, you know, have started those kind of brawls, you know, the Palace and all of that, whatever. Nah, I don't get down with that.
Right.
You gotta respect the athletes doing their job
and keep things in perspective. You got to keep things in perspective.
Yeah, and keep things in perspective. But that being said, that man was playing spin the bottle on our turf, on our home court, on the same home court where Willis Reed came out of the tunnel.
Right.
Where Patrick Ewing put the ball back in against the Pacers.
Right.
That was utterly disrespectful.
Right. And on that play that you mentioned, Starks describes it as he knew that they were going to double team Pat. So all he wanted to do was get the ball on the rim because he knew Beast was going to either finish it. Like if he missed a shot, he knew Beast was going to finish it, or Pat would find some way to catch the ball and dunk it. And when you have that much faith in somebody, bro, and then they deliver, bro, it automatically think that this person is superhuman.
It's all on the line right there.
Right.
Remember, you know, for people who didn't experience the 90s and the Knicks at that time with Ewing,
right? You
know, every playoff game felt like it was all on the line.
Every game.
I'm talking about from the beginning of the playoffs, like from the moment you're in the playoffs, it's like, okay, it's all on the line. And that particular game, game 7, some people say it's Ewing's best game.
As a pro, as a Knick.
Yep. As a pro. I don't know but it was his best game with the money on the line.
It felt like it should be in the conversation though.
Yeah, but it probably was his best game with the money on the line. Because he has 22 points, 24 rebounds, 7 assists, 5 block shots. I mean, he totally dominated the stat line, and on the final shot, he puts it in.
Right.
If he doesn't put it in, you know, if the Knicks lose that game 7, a lot of heads would have been rolling right then and there.
Yeah.
I'll tell people, I say that all the time with folks who criticize Ewing. I'm like, you gotta understand something. Like from the moment this dude came on the scene as a big time anything basketball player, like it's only few people in sports and in basketball history can understand the pressure, daily pressure, especially in the playoffs that dude had to go with.
Yeah.
Like Elijah Wan, for as much as he may be better than Ewing in his career, he never had that kind of pressure that Ewing had.
No, because for his first few years he played next to Ralph Sampson. Remember that?
Yeah, he never had
Right.
that kind of pressure. Nobody cared about nothing in basketball in Houston.
Right. And in the late 80s, Houston was that cute story. They were a young team, they blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? Because in the late 80s, the Western Conference was San Antonio Spurs were decent. The Dallas Mavericks were good, right?
Yes.
Really good. The Lakers were really good. The Portland Trailblazers were really, really good, right? The Golden State Warriors were Run TMC were really, really good, right? And then you had these other franchises like Houston, that like Utah that were trying to find their way. Like Utah had discovered this system that teams used to run in the early 70s that people got away from for the motion offense, right? And the low post offense. Because remember, I'll give you an example. The Utah Jazz were so innovative that their style of play is what teams run nowadays, right? They ran a high pick and roll offense with a power forward that was a finisher at the rim, right? Their two and three position players were 3-point shooters. Their three was an elite wing defender, and their point guard was a pick and roll maestro.
Yes.
Right? Their first guy off the bench was a guy that could play 3 or 4 positions. Right? You remember Jeff Malone?
Yes.
He could play not 4 positions, but he could play 3 positions.
No. He could play Jeff Malone, who came from Washington, could play the 1 or the 2.
Okay.
He could play the backup 1 or the 2, or in reverse, the 2 or the 1.
Okay.
2 or the 1, because
he
was there before. He was there before Hornacek.
Right. Well, Hornacek was in Philly, and Hornacek was in. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He was there. Hornacek just came over and took over his role.
Right.
But he was there before then. They've always kind of built the same kind of team.
Am I thinking Tyrone Corbin? Was it Tyrone Corbin?
Corbin was on their team.
Tyrone Corbin may be who I'm thinking about.
Right.
But he was more of a 3-4, not a 2-3-4.
Yeah. He's more of a 3-4. You know, but they've always built like the similar type of team, and never been able to get over the hump.
Right. And it's not because and Utah losing was not because they shot themselves in the foot. It's because they always ran up against generational talent. First, it was Magic and the Lakers, right? They never. I can't remember them ever running up against Portland, right? But I remember them running up against the Phoenix Suns, right? With Kevin Johnson, Dan Marley, and all of them, right? And then you're talking about eventually the Houston Rockets was like their Achilles heel.
They couldn't get past Ostertag, because they're big at the time was Ostertag,
right?
And Elijah Wan used to just eat him up.
Right. And even before Ostertag, they used to have a center named Mark Eaton, who was by the time Malone and Stockton were great, Eaton was old, right? Because Eaton was there with Adrian Dantley and Darryl Griffith. Dr. Duncanstein.
This is where like how I see things different than other people, because even though the game is different back then, I never looked at the the benefits of Mark Eaton outside of him blocking shots.
Blocking shots. That's all he could do.
That's it.
He was a decent defender. He was a decent defender, right? Like a good communicator. He wasn't athletic. Well, let me say this. Let me take that back. In his early days, he was a decent athlete, right? Decent, right? I'm not saying that he was Marcus Camby. What I'm saying is he was probably for a dude 7'4", he was more athletic early on than any 7'4" dude you saw come in the league, right? He could move, right? That's how come he could block so many shots, right? But as he got older, same thing that happens to everybody. It's like even when Pat Ewing got older, you saw Pat Ewing turn from a Marcus Camby type center to a jump shooting strong center, and it happens. It's the evolution of the human body. We all know that.
Yeah,
right?
but he was. Well, my thing was, I look at him and God rested his Manute Bowl, the same thing. I don't have the luxury for that kind of specialty on my team.
Right. Right.
See
Especially not Manute Bowl. Especially not Bowl.
Yeah, because he's too much of a specialty. Like for me to have him in my game, I mean, like that means I'm taking out someone who's more
agile,
more well-rounded, talented, that affects the
Right.
game more.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like offensively, I really want you to get out of the way.
Right. Right.
So
Mark
that means
Eaton was a good, but Mark Eaton was a good screener though. He just wasn't mobile. He would just couldn't.
Yeah, but after you set the screen, ain't nobody staying with you.
What else are you good for? Because you can't
jump
shoot.
Ain't nobody staying with you. Ain't nobody staying with you because you're not rolling to the basket. You're not hitting that 15-foot jump shot.
Right.
So who would stay with you after you set the screen?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So players like that, I've always been like,
right.
If I can have you on my team, you know, a couple of minutes here or there, but I'm not setting out major money for you.
Right.
I'm not. It's the same reason why I didn't understand why the Knicks gave Noel a raise.
Man, I'm so frustrated by that, bro.
And guaranteed money.
Right.
He doesn't do that much to warrant that kind of commitment.
Right.
And you had to pay him to go away.
And you had to pay him to go away, bro.
You had to pay him to go away.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? It's like, yo, but at the time when I was saying it was like, this guy, you signed him for a 1-year deal. Okay?
Right.
He did well for the 1-year contract. Fine. If you want to give him another 1-year contract, Uncle Freezie, okay.
Why not?
He did what he did. Why not? You know?
Why not? Right.
But what made you think that you needed to double down on that and give him multiple years?
Yeah. No. Right.
How do you explain that?
Yeah, you just can't. You just can't.
You can't. If he's a placeholder, he's a placeholder.
Right.
See what I'm saying? A placeholder like that, okay, you 1 year at a time.
Right.
That's where you are in your career right now. You're no longer someone that we should be looking to give multi-year deals to.
They should have gave Mitch that money last year, is what they should have did. And they wouldn't have had to pay so much this year.
Because he's looking at you like you gave him 30. You gave him 3 for 30.
Yeah. You could have gave that to Mitch last year. He'd have been happy.
He'd have been happy.
Yeah. So yeah, I understand what you're saying, man. The Mark Eaton thing, I think I think Mark Eaton was, because he wasn't an exceptional rebounder for a dude 7'4".
No, he was not.
I think I looked at his stats. I think for his career, he averaged like about just about 8 rebounds a game for a dude and 4. He didn't shoot exceptionally well. He didn't shoot free throws exceptionally well, right? And I'm looking at.
So you can barely give him alley oops. You can't do nothing to him going to the basket.
Right.
Like, I don't get guys that big who can't average double-digit rebounds. Come on, we have nothing to talk about.
Right. But the thing is this dude was in his prime, he was averaging 4.5 blocks a game, bro.
Okay.
4.5. Do you know how ridiculous that is?
I hear you. Here's the thing, though. What if he only changed or blocked the first 4 shots of the game?
What did he do the rest of the game? I get it.
Fuck did he do the rest of the game?
I get it.
What the hell did he do? What the hell did he do the rest of the game?
I get so that's the Bill Cartwright theory.
That is possible, is it not?
Right. Now I don't disagree. I don't disagree. What I'm saying is this. Well, let me just say it like this: that Utah team was innovative. What Jerry Sloan did to the NBA with that team, running the pick and roll, because nobody ran the pick and roll back then. Everybody ran either 2 offenses. You either ran a motion like the Denver Nuggets, like run TMC, or you ran a low post pivot based offense where if your center was, you either had a center or a power forward that could score out of the post, right? Like Mark Eaton couldn't score out of the post, but they had Adrian Dantley, the pump fake king. Adrian Dantley was. I legit did. I have never seen somebody that could do that for like 20 straight seconds, bro.
He's not getting the shot blocked.
No, he is gonna pump fake and get you to jump into you and go to the free throw line and do something to a bat. Yo, you saw his free throw routine, bro.
Yeah.
What he used to do to that basketball, bro, is rated R.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's taking. I mean, people talk. I mean, you talk about Greek Freak taking like 15 seconds. Adrian was taking like 18 seconds.
18 seconds.
Yeah.
You had to put on some Kenny G or some Earth, Wind and Fire while he had the free throw line, bro.
Bounce, rub.
Oh,
twirl. He twirled the ball kind of. He had like the way how he bounced the ball was like a twirl. Like he twirled it one.
And you're like, man, just shoot the ball already, bro. You making me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, just shoot the ball already. No.
Yeah, man. Hey, man. So we got to wrap up here, man. That was like the fastest 2 hours. Man, these 2 hours went by so fast, bro.
Absolutely. It's good being back on. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. And Knicks fans got to see me getting my emotions about these. We don't call it Blorange Tears for nothing, bro. It's Ronaldo Bachman over Rajon Rondo. What in the world are we doing?
Is real.
Hi, jeez, bro.
It comes from a real place. That's why when I hear foolishness in my ears, and picks and these players and da 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 da, I'm like, you just don't get it.
Your only thing you're gonna do with it is draft Kevin Knox. But anyway, let's get out of here, bro. Thank y'all.
Right,
Thank y'all for watching. Old School Knicks. I'm your main man, Uncle Freezie, #1 chief rocker in Knicks universe. This is your main man, Anthony D. So smooth, he doesn't require a chaser. This was Old School Knicks. Thank y'all for tuning in. We will check y'all later. Peace, party people. Yo, for more in-depth Knicks conversations and more Uncle Freezie one-on-one time, consider being a Patreon. The link to our Blorange Tears Patreon page is in the description box below. It's more individual conversations, more in-depth breakdowns. For more of that stuff, consider $2 a month or something cheap like that for more in-depth Knicks conversations. I'll see y'all over there. I'm Uncle Freezie, and you know who I am, Uncle Freezie, the #1 chief rocker in Knicks universe, giving you everything that you want. I will holler at y'all later. Peace, y'all.